and welcome to another pen video from me, Penultimate Dave. So I have here another 10 pens currently inked up today. I think let's just go through these briefly one by one and then in a little bit more detail, and then we'll do a writing sample. So from left to right we have a Visconti Homo Sapiens Corsani 90. We have a Visconti Homo Sapiens Corsani Octagonal. We have a Montegrappa Extra 1930 Shiny Lines Dove. We have a Pelikan M1000 Rawdon Starlight, a Pelikan M1000 Rawdon Sunlight, and Leonardo Officina Italiana Momento Zero in the Mediterraneo, a Leonardo Officina Italiana Momento Zero in the Hawaii, a Pilot Custom Urushi Vermilion, an Armando Simone Club Bologna Extra Africa, and last but not least an Armando Simone Club Bologna Extra Black and Gold Luchens. So, I think let's go through these pens in a little bit more detail. This is the very beautiful Visconti Homo Sapiens Corsani 90. It's a stacked celluloid pen, so it is a celluloid, not a resin. And this was made by Visconti for Stilograph Corsani, which is a retail store in Rome. And this was a commemorative pen for Stefano. He is now the third generation of his family at Stilograph Corsani to own and run the store. And this is to commemorate the 90th anniversary of the store being open. So there were only 79 of these pens made, and this is number 27. Now I say 79 because 79 were fountain pens, and that is the address of the store, and then the remaining pens were rollerballs. But this is a really, really beautiful pen, so I do like it a lot. Now, it did originally come with a 23 carat palladium medium nib on there. I have since swapped that out for a stub nib, and I do like how that writes. But I do love this sort of hook safe lock. I like the size, I like the weight. This really is a nice pen, so I have that inked up this week. I also have again, another Visconti, and it's another Stilograph Corsani edition. This is the Homo Sapiens Corsani Octagonal. And again, another stacked celluloid, but octagonal because this is an octagonal faceted pen, which I do like a lot. So again, there were a little bit more actually made of this pen. There were 100 made of this one. This is number 54. Unfortunately though, 73 of them were actually stolen, unfortunately, and this was a great shame. So I was able to pick this up way before. I think I picked it up in the October, and the store was raided in February the following year. So I was very lucky to pick this up when I did. I got it with a 23 carat palladium broad nib there, and again I just like how this writes. So I have this one inked up as well this week. I also have the Montegrappa Extra 1930 Shiny Lines Dove, and again another stacked celluloid. I do like stacked celluloid pens, and you can just see how again this one shines a lot, although in the Viscontis it tends to be more going round the pen, whereas in the Montegrappa here it's going along the length of the pen. But again, I do love this a lot. It is a Montegrappa. 1912 was when Montegrappa opened their doors. It is an extra 1930 model. It has a number 8 size nib there, and that is a medium nib. It's a dove nib, but I just love how that pen writes as well. So I have that one inked up with me today as well. And then I have a couple of Pelikans. This is the Pelikan M1000 Rawdon Starlight, and this is a beautiful pen. You can see the Rawdon strips of abalone shell there that just sparkle, but you also have gold dust as well. So this is a pen that I do love a lot, and this is inked up. Now it does come with a Pelikan M1000, and this is a number 8 size nib. It's a medium nib, but I love how these write, and you can see the Pelikan logo there. So I have that one inked up with me this week. And then this one, which is a Pelikan M1000 Raden Sunlight. So very similar to its sibling, the Starlight. The only difference is that it doesn't have the gold dust in it, and it has a lot more of these Raden abalone shell stripes going on there. So it does obviously sparkle a little bit more. So again, Pelikan M1000, and it has a Pelikan M1000 medium nib there. These all come with medium nibs, the Raden versions, and I just love it. I love the size of the pen in my hand. It's a really, really good size, and I just love how they write. So for me, that's another pen that I have been writing with this week. I then have a couple of Leonardos, and this is the Leonardo Officina Italiana Momento Zero, and this is the Mediterraneo. So this is one of the more expensive Leonardos because it is made of this beautiful celluloid, and you can see there this celluloid really does sort of pop. And this is Mediterraneo, as in Mediterranean, as in the sea, and this just looks really captivating. Now it does have a piston filling mechanism on this one. That's why the price is a little bit more, as well as a celluloid. And it has a 14 karat gold medium nib. So again, a more expensive nib on there. But I just love how this one writes, and I love taking meeting notes and writing in notebooks with that. The second Leonardo that I have is the Leonardo Officina Italiana Momento Zero in the Hawaii. Now, this is one of the cheaper versions, so it's not a piston filling mechanism, it's not a celluloid, it's a resin. So it's a cartridge converter, it's a resin, but it does have a really nice resin there, and it also has a steel nib as well, and this is a broad nib. So this is obviously going to be a little bit cheaper, but again, it's just a material that I really like a lot. So I'm glad I was able to pick that one up and add that to my collection, and it's been one that I've been writing with this week. And then the next pen is the Pilot Custom Urushi, which is a massive pen. And this, when I saw it, this is on loan from Gary Dapperman at my UK South Fountain Pen Club. But this is a Urushi pen. So it's a pen made of ebonite, which is hard or vulcanized rubber, with a Urushi coating in vermilion red. But this is a really gorgeous pen. I don't normally go for plain pens, but what do I like about the pen? Well, I like its ebonite. I am partial to ebonite if it's done right, and more so with Urushi over ebonite. It's probably what I prefer the most. I also like the size of this pen, and I like the weight of the pen, and I also like this massive number 30 nib there. And this 30 nib is the equivalent to around about a number size 9 or 10 nib in Western nib designations. Now, this is also a fine medium nib, so it has a little bit of a bounce to it, a little bit of a flex to it, and I just love how it writes. So I have that inked up this week as well. And then I have two Armando Simoni Club Bologna extra pens. This is the Africa, which is a really lovely material, and I do like this a lot. So I have this one inked up with me this week, and you'll see here the Magic Flex nibs. It's a number 8 size nib, and I can show you the difference here actually between the number 8 size and the number 30. So you can kind of see that there is quite a lot of difference there in terms of the size of that nib. So you can see why I like the Pilot a lot more in terms of how the nib is, and because I like large nibs. But the Armando Simonica Bologna, I like the weight, I like the size, I like the Magic Flex nibs. They write very fire hose wet. So for me, I love how that pen writes. I have that inked up again this week. And then I also have this one, and this is the Armando Simonica Bologna Extra in the black and gold Lucians. And I just love this sort of translucent or semi-translucent material here. So it's actually clear in parts, and you can see the pneumatic filling mechanism behind it. But it's this sort of honeycomb sort of effect going on, and sort of honey colour as well. And again, this has a 18 karat gold Magic Flex nib there. They are medium nibs, but they tend to write very fire hose wet, so more like a broad, Western broad nib. But again, I really do love how that writes. So I have that one inked up with me this week. So that's my currently inked pens for this week. I think let's go and do a writing sample. So the first pen I have inked up is the Visconti Homo Sapiens Corsani 90. So let's do an ink swatch. And this is a stub nib, so it's quite a broad nib. It's also a wet writing nib as well. So it's the Visconti Homo Sapiens, and it's the Corsani 90, and it's a 1.3mm 23 cat palladium nib. And then the ink in here is Diamine Majestic Purple, which for me is a really nice coloured ink. The next pen is the Visconti Homo Sapiens Corsani Octagonal. So again, we'll do an ink swatch. Now, this is a broad nib, but it feels more like a 1.3mm stub nib to me. And I'll show you why. Because if I start writing with it, you'll see it's very, very close to the line width of the 1.3 stub there. So this is a Homo Sapiens Corsani Octagonal. And it's a broad 23 cat palladium nib. And then the ink in here is Pelikan Edelstein Topaz, which is actually quite a light blue ink, and I didn't think that the Topaz would be that lighter blue when I first got that ink. The next pen is the Montegrappa Extra 1930 Shiny Lines Dove. So we'll do another ink swatch here. And this is a medium nib, but you can still see it's not a bad writer nib. So this is the Montegrappa Extra 1930 Shiny Lines Dove, and it's a medium, and it's an 18 cat gold nib. And then the ink in here is Diamine Earl Grey, which is a nice grey ink. The next pen is the Pelikan M1000 Rawdon Starlight. So again, we'll do an ink swatch. And you can see that this is a very wet writing nib. So this is the Pelikan M1000 Rawdon. Whoops. If I can spell Rawdon. I was getting a little bit ahead of myself there. Starlight. That's where the S came from. And it's a medium, and it's an 18 cat gold nib. And then the ink in here is Pilot Iroshizuku Inner Ho. But you can actually see that this ink is already feathering. This is Oxford Optic paper, which is really second best, I would say, compared to Tomoe River. You can get the odd feathering going on, and certainly getting some feathering here. So this is the next pen, the Pelikan M1000 Raden Sunlight. Now, although this is still a medium nib, I find that this nib writes more like a Western medium. Many of the Pelikan M1000 nibs will normally write one width, nib width wider. So this is the Pelikan M1000 Raden Sunlight, and it's a medium 18 cat gold nib. And then the ink in here is Franklin Christoph Sweet Maroon. That's a nice maroon ink. The next pen is a Leonardo Officina Italiana Momento Zero in the Mediterraneo. So we'll do another ink swatch here. Now this is more of a lighter blue ink, very similar to that Pelikan Edelstein Topaz. So if you like a light turquoisey ink, then this, I'd say, is a good ink. So this is the Leonardo, and I'm going to abbreviate the name because it's a very long name, Officina Italiana, and it's the Momento Zero. And this is the Mediterraneo. And it's a medium 14 cat gold nib. And then the ink in here is Robert Oster Australian Sky Blue, which is again another nice turquoisey ink. The next pen is a Leonardo Officina Italiana Momento Zero in the Hawaii. So we'll do an ink swatch here. Now this is a bit of a darker blue. It's also, this nib is a very wet broad nib as well. So this is the Leonardo Momento Zero, and it's the Hawaii, and it is a broad still nib. And then the ink in here is Robert Oster, and it's blue water ice, which again is another blue that I do like quite a bit. The next pen is the Pilot Custom Urushi Vermilion. So we'll do an ink swatch. Now this is a, what's Pilot call a fine medium nib. I would definitely call this more of a fine nib, but I like how it writes. So this is the Pilot Custom Urushi in the Vermilion, and it is a fine medium, and it is an 18 cat gold nib. And the ink in here is Mont Blanc Corn Poppy Red, which is a nice red ink. The next pen is the Armando Simone Club Bologna Extra Africa. So we'll do an ink swatch. And you'll be able to see that this is a very wet writing nib. And these ASCs always are. So this is an ASC Bologna Extra Africa. And it is a medium 18 cat gold nib. And then the ink in here is De Atramentis Chocolate, which is actually a lovely dark chocolatey ink. And then last but not least, we have an Armando Simone Club Bologna Extra in the black and gold Lucians. So we'll do an ink swatch here. And again, you'll see that these are very wet writing nibs. So this is an ASC Bologna Extra. And this is the black and gold Lucians in a medium 18 cat gold nib. And then the ink in here is KWZ Honey, which is a really nice coloured ink. So I think let's go through these pens inked up one more time. We have a Visconti Homo Sapiens Corsani 90 in a 1.3mm 23 carat palladium stub nib, inked up with Diamine Majestic Purple. We have a Visconti Homo Sapiens Corsani Octagonal in a broad 23 carat palladium nib, inked up with Pelican Edelstein Topaz. A Montegrappa Extra 1930 Shiny Lines Dove in a medium 18 carat gold nib, inked up with Diamine Earl Grey. A Pelican M1000 Raden Starlight in a medium 18 karat gold nib, inked up with Pilot Orochi Shizuku in a hoe. We have a Pelican M1000 Raden Sunlight in a medium 18 karat gold nib, inked up with Franklin Christoph Sweet Maroon. We have a Leonardo Officina Italiana Momento Zero in a Mediterraneo with a medium 14 karat gold nib, inked up with Robert Oster Australian Sky Blue. We have a Leonardo Officina Italiana Momento Zero in the Hawaii with a broad steel nib, inked up with Robert Oster Blue Water Ice. We have a Pilot Custom Urushi in the Vermilion with a fine medium 18 karat gold nib, inked up with Mont Blanc Corn Poppy Red. We have an Armando Simone Club Bologna Extra Africa in a medium 18 karat gold nib, inked up with De Atramentis Chocolate. And then last but not least, we have the Armando Simone Club Bologna Extra in the black and gold Lucians with a medium 18 karat gold nib, inked up with KWZ Honey. So there you have it, that's my currently inked pens for this week. Thanks for watching, please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next pen video. Bye bye.